Hello and welcome back to another episode of Internal Rambles. This is your girl Rochelle. If you are new, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you for tuning back in. Internal Rambles is a very eclectic podcast. I talk about everything from my life, career, trending entertainment topics, etc. My normal podcast episodes releases every Thursdays, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My bonus content, which could be my reality show recaps, the male perspective with G.O., my unconventional book club, a lot of things that happen over here. Those bonus episodes do not have a set schedule. They release whenever I am able to post and record and post those. So today, this is a bonus episode. I am recapping the latest episodes of Ready to Love and Married at First Sight. Please, if you haven't listened to my previous recaps, please do so. You can catch me pretty much anywhere that you get your podcast content. I also release my audio over on YouTube. Just search Internal Rambles, no space, all one word, and I will pop up. Let me know what you think about some of the stuff that's happening on these shows. So I am going to start off with, I think the last recap I started off with Ready to Love. So if not, that's okay. That's what I'm starting this episode recap of. I am recapping episode 6 that was released on February 10th, 2023. That episode of Ready to Love was titled, Do You Like Me? So this is a recap of Ready to Love Season 7 Miami, Episode 6, and then I will get into Married at First Sight. Okay, so at the beginning of the episode, nephew Tommy Miles, he meets with all the men in the men's lounge, and he tells them that he wants the men to take their top 1 or 2 connections out and see if there's something there. Is there really truly a connection? Focus on the women that you really, really are into. And then later on, he announces that he's going to have a dinner with all the singles together. He wants to see how they're interacting with each other. So the first date was actually a group date, and that was with Mercedes, Tony, Lyndon, and Susu, and Blake and Cynthia. I'm going to listen. Blake calls her Susu. I don't know. I find the name funny. So her name is Suanne. So some of the things that happened on that date, they went on like an obstacle course type date, which is pretty cool. Lyndon pulls Susu aside because he says that he's had kind of hot and cold interactions with Susu, and he wants to just see like, okay, is there something there or not? And Susu brings up the fact that initially she gave her number to Lyndon and he did not call her. And now he is reaching out to her. And Lyndon's like, well, I am contacting you, but you don't be responding. And she was like, well, remember when you wasn't responding to me? So totally there's nothing there between Lyndon and Susu. They are, I think it really turned Suanne off when she did try to connect with him and he wasn't putting in that effort. She has her other connections. And I think for her, it's kind of a little bit or too little too late type of a thing. So there's nothing there with Lyndon and Susu. And then Lyndon was like, well, let me see what's up with Mercedes. He's just like trying to throw his ball into any court that will have him, okay? Lyndon just flat out asked Mercedes, because she says, hey, is there anything you want to know? Anything you want to ask me? So he was like, well, let's not beat around the bush. Do you like me? And she didn't beat around the bush. She said, well, I really kind of get friend vibes from you. And he was like, oh my goodness, when she said that really like hurt me or whatever. But she tells him that, I've seen you interact with other women, and comparing it to how you interact with me, there's a difference. you are more in tuned or whatever with other women, there's definitely a difference in the way that you interact with me. So that's why it's friend vibes. I can tell who you're truly into, and I'm not one of them. So, I respect Mercedes for that. I definitely do. Also, during that group date, Tony and Mercedes have a little bit of alone time away from the group, and Mercedes asks Tony, how does he feel about a woman who is a little bit less established than him? I think he has children. He's really established in her career, and she's trying to get established. And she's a flight attendant. I mean, she's not like, no tea, no shade, but just like flipping burgers at Burger King. But, I don't think she's where she is, and etc. And, he says to her, like, don't count yourself out. I don't have a problem with it. When I'm in a relationship, it's a partnership, etc. So I think she's into him. I don't think that's her top connection, but I think that was comforting to her, because I think she kind of viewed him a little bit out of her league for whatever reason. So that was their time together. Lastly, on this group date, Blake and Susu went off on their own, and the only connection Blake has is Susu. I mean, she really is the only one keeping him around. And Blake says, I just want to talk to Susu, see where she is at with her connection with me. And Susu's like, I want you to be more aggressive. Like, I want you to really show that you're into me. Like, do you like me? So, I guess somehow he shows her, because they have a kiss, and then all of a sudden at the end of this interaction with them, she's like, yeah, now I have a boyfriend, and it's Blake. And I was like, did I miss? And I watched it and then I rewatched it, like not fully, but just to like get the gist of the show so I could recap it. And I was like, where did they become a couple at? I don't know. It's like, I don't know if she just like, he's my number one, so now he's my boyfriend, or we're dating. I don't know. It just was super weird. I'm just like, okay, girl, grasp on to whatever you need to grasp. But Blake is just Blake. I've said this multiple times now. I'm not a fan of his. I mean, I think he likes Susu, but I don't see long term with any woman on the show in Blake. Okay, so next up, Jeffrey and Blue go on a date by themselves, and Jeffrey likes Blue. I like Blue. He is just so laid back, cool, mature. But she's also kind of similar to what Sue Ann tells Blake. She's like, Blue, I need you to be aggressive. I need you like these men, when Mark Anthony, when I see him, he goes for it. I need you to be showing me, like, even if some other guys are around, I need you to show that you want me and that you're interested. And so Blue's like, well, I can be aggressive, but I think he is that type of guy where it's just like he builds up to it. He's very kind of old school, gentlemanly. Like, he's not gonna just snatch you up in the middle of a club and start like but nonetheless, she asked him, like, where do you see me fitting in your life, if you see me fitting in your life at all? And he's like, well, I want you up in there in some way. So I don't know. They seem to be connecting. I think he does like her. She does have other connections. I don't know if Blue has other connections. I can't think of the top of my head. But we'll see. Then Lyndon and Morgan go on a date. That's a very interesting couple. There wasn't really much there. Lyndon seems to like the fact that Morgan's very transparent, that whenever he asks a question, she answers it. She doesn't hold back. That's really all to say about that. I don't really know who Morgan's top I don't even know. I know she really likes Tony. Is it Tony? It's still at this, and I should wait until the end to say this, but I don't want to forget to say this. I really don't know. Like, usually around this time, at the end of the show, Nephew Tommy states that they're at the halfway point. Usually there's someone that you're like, okay, yep, this couple, I think they're gonna really make it. I ain't got no indication of who that is right now, but I digress. Tony and Marcia go on a date, and he tells Marcia, listen, like, I like you, but you and Morgan, oh yeah, like I said, Morgan and Tony have a connection. He's like, you and Morgan are my top connections, but Marcia is way more aggressive, and I know that she's into me. I need you to show up and be a bit more aggressive. And Marcia was like, I don't know why you talking about Morgan on our date. It was like, I don't know why you was talking about another woman on our date. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He was putting the pressure on Marcia. If she shows up and does something different, yo no sé. I don't know. The last date was with Mark Anthony, Jeffrey, Jonique, and Tony. Not much to say there except for, Jeffrey really does like Mark Anthony. So her top is Blue and Mark Anthony. But I don't know. It seems like whenever she gets around Mark Anthony, she forgets that Blue exists. So at the end, they have a dinner with Nephew Tommy, and he was like, I just want to check and see who is really here for the right reasons, how you all are interacting with each other. So at the dinner, Tommy announces that Andre, who previously earlier in the season left the show due to having COVID, he's like, well, Andre is COVID free and he wants to come back, and he does come back. And like I had told you, I was like, Andre, did y'all listen? Do y'all be listening to me? I don't have no inside scoop into, these shows. I said, I know in the previews, Andre gonna cut up. Like, there's a preview of him, like, acting a fool. So I knew he was coming back. So Andre comes back. So he's back in the show, which kind of throws maybe a little monkey wrench, because Jeffrey was definitely feeling Andre before he left. And Cynthia too. Cynthia was really feeling Andre too. So we'll see what this may mean. So during the dinner, Tommy, or after, at the end, Tommy's like, okay, I want to hear from y'all. Who are you feeling? But who do you feel like maybe isn't here? Who are you not connecting with? Who may not be ready to love? So Andre is the first to speak, at least during the show. He's like, I'm very disappointed in Mercedes. I thought I had a connection with her. When I went out sick, she did not check up on me once, child. Mercedes was like, oh, you not here? Okay, let me find me a new boo. So that's what he said. Some of the women felt that Mark Anthony was still really young, still trying to learn himself, may not be ready for this process of being ready to love and finding a long-term relationship. And of course, some of the women, they don't like Blake, and somebody said, Blake was just not nice to me. I feel like that might have been Marcia, I'm not sure. And then some women feel like Blake feels as though he's superior than others. Interestingly enough, his connection, some of the men feel like, or at least one of the men felt that Sue-Ann portrays herself as if she's above everyone else. So maybe that's why they connect. Oh no. And then at the end, the very end, Blue, Jeffrey, and Sue, then the ongoing drama, they all get into it. Blake is like, Jeffrey been lying. I ain't said none of the stuff that Jeffrey has said that I have said. Jeffrey's like, Sue be all up in my business about who I'm dating. I don't know why she is so focused on me. Sue is like, yo, keep my name out your mouth. Keep my name out your mouth. Don't talk about me. Jeffrey's like, Blake is delusional. He be lying. It was just foolishness. That's all it was. So nobody went home this episode. Tommy announced that next episode someone will be going home, one man and one woman. So that's that. This is a very interesting season. It's not a bad season. There's definitely been some rough seasons, but like I said, this is the halfway point. There's no couple that I'm like, yes, you guys got it. You guys are going to make it, or I see super potential. So I want to see them really focusing on one person and really making connections, because right now it still seems like it's a bit of a free-for-all. I need them to get Blake up out of there. I'm not really Sue-Ann and Jeffrey kind of rubbed me the wrong way. There's definitely some people that could be cut, I will say. Blake first, though. He gotta go. And it's gonna be interesting having Andre back in the mix, and he's been gone for a bit. How that will shift dynamics, if at all. So that is my recap of episode 6 of Ready to Love. If you watch the show, what are your thoughts? What do you think about Andre coming back? This whole foolish drama between Blake, Sue, and Jeffrey. And do you think that there are any connections? Maybe I'm missing them, child. Because if so, maybe I need to get a stronger prescription in my glasses, because I'm not seeing it right now. But that's this episode recap. So let's get into Married at First Sight. Okay, so I am recapping episode 6 also of Married at First Sight, and this aired on February 8th. 2023. This is Married at First Sight 16 Nashville. The episode was titled You Dropped a Bomb on Me. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. You dropped a... Okay. I just started recapping because if you did not know, I don't start recapping Married at First Sight until they get to the honeymoon. Child, they still at the honeymoon. I think next week they may be getting home and moving in with each other. And I mentioned that last episode was rough. I mean, I had to forward through. In this episode, I also had to forward through. So I don't think I missed anything crazy or like important. It has just been boring. Sorry. It has been, y'all. Some stuff did happen. One thing did make my jaw go to the floor, and I will talk about that. But for the most part, I can take it or leave it. I don't think this show is going to pick up until they get home and move in with each other, I guess. I don't know. But this episode, there was a little bit more activity, like a smidgen of a little bit. So let's get into what has occurred in this episode. Okay, so like I did last time, I'm just going to go through couple to couple and what happened and where they're at and my thoughts, and then we'll wrap this one on up, okay, y'all? Okay, so let's start with Dominique and McKinley. So, interestingly enough, at the beginning of the episode, Dominique shares that attraction at 1 out of 10 to McKinley. She's at a 6. The romance level, she's at a 3 or a 4, which I thought was really interesting because it looked like they were connecting and like she was okay and happy. But she mentioned he play around too much. Like he jokes too much. She don't know when he's serious. Later in the episode, she's talking to her mom and she tells her mom, like, man, he be complaining all the time. I can't deal with all this complaining. So I think that the joking, the complaining, that's become like a barrier. Like she doesn't know when he's telling the truth. He's more kind of, and he's mentioned that he's more introverted. She's more kind of extroverted. She likes the outdoors. She's more adventurous. And so before they go do activities on the honeymoon, he will say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But he will do it. And so for her, she's just kind of like, if you are not gonna do something, it's like when you say that, oh well, I would never do something, but then you do it, why complain about it? Just do it. Because it takes, she explains that it takes away from her fun and her enjoyment to hear all the negativity before the activity, which I can understand. And later at the end of the show, he does apologize. They have a moment in the show. This is the first time where all the couples are back together since the bachelorette party. So they do have moments where it's just the guys talking and then just the girls talking. And so just him processing, I think he realized, like, I need to go apologize to this chick. So he does apologize for all the joking around and all the complaining, and that he will try to do better. And she explains, like, why it affects her. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if, things improve from there. But she definitely was like, I can't keep dealing with this. Okay. So that was that. Yeah, that's them. That's Dominique and McKinley. I don't have much on this other couple. I actually don't have nothing really to say about them. Nicole and Christopher, I didn't even write anything down for them. I'm sorry. They seem to just be moving right along. I don't have much. They're talking about their daily routines, and they're just trying to get to know each other or whatever. One of the things, when the men were all together only, and Christopher was saying, I'm very laid back. My wife, she has a very firecracker personality. I just hope that we can balance that. And Clint, I don't know who made Clint the relationship therapist, but he was giving all kind of advice. I don't know if I would listen to his advice, but anyways, but he was like, no, you need to be who you are. Don't let her run over you, make sure you give your opinions, etc. So I think he is worried about how she has said that she can be kind of like a wild child, or can be very animated. And she just is very spicy or whatever, however she, explains. And he's just very laid back, and he's a people pleaser, basically. So I think he's worried about what that may look like moving forward. But other than that, I don't have nothing for that couple. I'm sorry. I'm definitely forwarded through, oh, the one thing that they did say is they are working on their emotional connection before they do anything physical, which, I think she said initially she thought that they would, her and her husband would get physical much sooner, but she's glad that they're waiting. So there wasn't much to say about that couple. So there's that. Kirsten and Shaquille, not a lot happened with them. They did share with the group how they are, she mentioned that how he wasn't necessarily what she wanted physically, because she was like, I wasn't envisioning a man with a bald head, but now I'm okay with it, or whatever. He gonna get tired of her bringing that up. I'm just gonna point that out. But they have their first disagreement because they were talking about another couple, but Kirsten said that, you joke around a lot, and there's a time and a place. I just, I want to get to know the serious you. And Shaquille is like, I joke around. That's my personality. I like to make jokes. I'm not going to have you change me. And so she explained that she's like, but this is an accelerated process. I want us to get to the heart of the matter and to the meat of things. And I really want to get to know who you are as a person. And then after that, once we really get past all of the tough stuff, then we can joke all the time, or, we can joke more, but there's just so many layers that we need to pull back first. If I'm always met with joke, I don't know if I'll be able to really get to know you, etc., etc. So he seemed to understand that. I will say that as someone who play all day, that's me. I understood Shaquille. I joke all the time, but my father used to say, I laugh and I joke, but I don't play. So, I know sometimes I joke in inappropriate times. I got a little better than that with that, but it is a part of my personality. If I can't joke, I don't know. You just gonna have to take these jokes, bro. And if you can't, you just can't deal with me, because I am just sarcastic by nature. I just make jokes. I don't know. I can be serious for sure.
But it is a part of my personality to just throw a joke in somewhere. I don't know. It's natural. I don't have to think about it. I'm not cognizant of it. It really is who I am. She just seemed real stiff to me. I'm like, loosen up, girl. You all right? So, anyways, I understood what he was saying, but he seemed to kind of get what she was saying too. But he did say, I ain't about to be changing up fully for you now. So hopefully, they can come to an understanding. Now there were two couples. I'm gonna save the most messiest mess for the last. But Jasmine and Eris. I'm gonna not say I don't like Eris. I'm gonna say he's been rubbing me the wrong way. So he reveals, so after him just like being like, sex, you want the sex? I got the sexual position. Which one you want, Jasmine? Hey, wife. We could do it like this. We can do it like that. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he was just like so like focused on sex. When all the couples were together, he's like, I'm a really sexual person, but I'm gonna dial back. That has not benefited me in past relationships. This is the jaw dropping point where my jaw was to the floor. Listen up, okay? Y'all listening? When he's with all the men, they're just talking about, their wives and just how things are going. He's like, yeah, Jasmine, she into me. Her attraction level to me is like a 12. But my attraction level to her is like a 4 or 5. And when I tell you my jaw dropped to the floor because this is the first time that he said anything. I'm pretty sure, and even Kirsten has mentioned this. He said, my wife is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Like, when was the attraction 4 to 5? So you've been telling her what you think she wants to hear. And then he's like, she's just not my type physically. I like the Megan Thee Stallion butts. And I was like, this is why you haven't been in love. Things are becoming more clearer now. And he's like, I know my wife is pretty, she's won beauty pageants, but she's just not the typical type that I date. Child, if you don't sit your behind somewhere, I think he's one of those men that everything has to be perfect. Whatever that ridiculous picture is in his brain, and if you don't fit in that box and check off all them, whatever that is, that's why he's never been in love. It has never fit the idea. He hasn't been in love because he's in love with the ideal or the idea of the perfect partner. I'm gonna bet $1 on that. His wife is beautiful. I mean, bruh, when I tell you my jaw dropped to the floor, I was like, child, I don't want to be disrespectful, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And they were like, you're not attracted to your wife? I'm saying that. Eris, you got problems, bruh. So later on, he still doesn't share that with her after, the men have their time alone, the women have their time alone. What she shares with him is that, she's concerned that no matter what she does, he won't fall in love. She says, I fall in love easily, or probably like a normal person. And she's like, I don't know if I should kind of hold back on things, maybe see how you do, how you're feeling. I would hate to fall in love with you and then you're still like, you cool, I like you though, kind of a thing. So he's like, I just feel like everybody should pump their brakes. And it was like, bro, what does that even mean? She's like, I'm not saying I'm in love with you now. She's like, I'm saying I would hate to fall in love with you. This is not now. He gonna be a problem. He gonna be a problem. I don't want to say I don't like him, but he got about one more time to do something real crazy, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm not fond of him. So I don't know. She's got an uphill battle with Mr. Ayers. Okay? Because he don't know what he all over the place. He don't know what he want. He talking about Meg Thee Stallion, but girl, I mean, boy, if you don't sit down, I'm sure she probably want, everybody like Michael B. Jordan. But what? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Bye. So then, still trouble in paradise for Gina and Clint. So last episode, Gina told Clint, I don't be liking them redheaded men. I'm usually not attracted to them. Clint is redheaded. So when all the couples were together, Clint was like, yeah, well, she said that, but typically the women that I date, they tend to be slender, athletic, so, things are not really fitting in the mold, but that's okay. He offended Gina and every other woman on that, in this cast, because they're all curvy and none of them are like thin. They're all beautiful. So they were so upset, and Gina confronts him like the next day, and she was like, do you know not only did you offend me, but you offended all of the other 4 women when you made that comment? He was like, I was just talking about what I've dated. I wasn't talking negatively. I'm sorry if I offended, so he apologized, but he definitely wasn't, remorseful about it. And he didn't see like what the problem was. He's like, I was just talking about what I dated. So that really upset Gina. He didn't really take full ownership over that, like, really offensive comment. Like, I date slender chicks, yeah, and Gina's like, I am, like, athletic and whatever, like, But, I will say, though, her comment to him was maybe not as bad, but it was a little rude, too. So they both just, just doing rude stuff to each other. But Gina was through. She was like, you know what? I think it's best that we have some time apart. I need a little space from you. And so he's like, fine. That sounds good for me. So right now, Gina needs space from Clint. So, I mean, I would say the couple that's doing the best is the one that I didn't write anything down for and still can never remember their names. Okay, that is Nicole and Christopher. They seem to be doing all right. Dominique and McKinley, they had a little, Dominique was frustrated with McKinley. He did apologize. We do know something's going to happen this season with them. We don't know what. Gina and Clint, trouble in paradise. Jasmine and Eris. Eris needs to get it together. Kirsten and... what's his name? Kirsten and Shaquille, they seem to be kind of at a decent place. They're still learning how to interact with each other, and I don't think there's any red flags or even pink flags for them just yet. So we will have to see how it goes. Alrighty. And that is my recap of Married at First Sight. Thank you for tuning in. I would love to know what you think of these shows. You can comment and leave me a comment and your thoughts over on YouTube. Again, you can search for me, Internal Rambles, no space, all one word on YouTube, and I will pop up. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you are thinking. Anywhere that you listen to me, please subscribe to me so that you get this content that I'm pushing out. All this great content over here immediately. Please check out my episodes, my normal episodes every Thursdays, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate all of the listens. Thank you again. And like I always say at the end of my episodes, take care of yourself. And if you are able to, take care of each other. And until next episode, this is your girl, Rochelle.